Hello, everybody. This is Paul Tinkle, and welcome into this week's 30 Minutes program. I'm really excited to be talking with Robert Craig. He is the executive director of Reelfoot Rural Ministries. And Robert, first off, I'm really glad that you're here, and I'm glad that you have a heart for people who need help. And thank you for coming in today.
Good morning. It's really good to be with you this morning, Paul, and to share a little bit about what Reelfoot Rural Ministries has been doing for over 6 decades now, and continues to do in Northwest Tennessee and Southwest Kentucky.
What is Reelfoot Rural Ministries?
Reelfoot Rural Ministries is a community service organization. We offer a variety of services for folks who find themselves not able to cover the struggles of life. Grocery ministry, some financial assistance. We do some housing repairs, some home modifications for accessibility modifications for seniors to age in place. We've got a Christmas toy store that'll be coming up here, obviously, real soon as the holidays approach. We do back-to-school supplies for families that find themselves in need. We've got a vision clinic that's run by volunteer optometrists and a dental clinic where we try to be a dental home for folks who are uninsured and have that kind of need.
Now, how did you get involved with all of this?
I got involved with Reelfoot because it's connected to the United Methodist Church. It's not a part of the United Methodist Church, but it was founded by some ladies who were there in the Tiptonville Methodist Church back in the 60s.
You didn't get a chance to meet those yet, I guess.
I didn't get a chance to meet those ladies, but met some of their families, and that's been a blessing to see how they continue to be encouraged by the ministry.
Now, the first thing I want to really get out of here,
sure.
And that is this. How do you find Reelfoot Rural Ministries if you've never been there? That's a little bit difficult if you hadn't been there.
It is not strategically located, that is for sure. But the purpose of the ministry when it began was to serve the folks in that really rural area up in the hills of Obion County and Lake County. It started serving children in the Tiptonville, Ridgely, Lake County area, and then kind of began to expand because the needs were there in that rural area up on the bluffs just outside of Lake County. And so a variety of ministries, dozens of different things, took place to offer services to folks since its inception in 1963. And those things ranged from a beauty shop or a barber shop to a medical clinic, tutoring sessions, but they would all take place in little outposts in these communities around the hills and down in the Lake County area. And they consolidated it all in 1972 after the property where we are was donated by a family that had become really involved in that ministry. And so it's where it is because that's was pretty much the central area of the focus service community, and it was land that a committed donor gave. And so that first building was built in 1972, and that's when the offices were open. But before that, it took place in little churches and offices and schools, wherever they could find a space to meet in one of those communities. But now it's all centrally located there on Minnick Elbridge Road. So
when you come from out of Union City and you go down the highway, you turn off at Obion.
At the Obion exit.
Obion exit.
Yes, sir.
Pretty much follow the road. It'll get a little bit softer as you get closer. And from Hickman and also from Tiptonville, it's a road to everything.
It really is. The South Bluff Road that runs from Dyer County into Lake County will take you right to our the bottom of the bluff that we're on top of. They're on Minnick Elbridge Road. So coming from Union City, you'd turn off of the highway at the Obion exit and head west, and just keep going west until you see the office. It's about 11.5 miles from that exit.
It seems to me that the people who need help, they know where to find it.
Yes, sir. They've either been exposed to it because their families have been a part of Reelfoot Rural Ministries, whether serving or being assisted, or the word of mouth when friends who have a need, those they may have some friends that have been there, have volunteered there, or given some resources to Reelfoot, and they let folks know.
I was looking at a terrific team that you have. I've seen them on the Facebook, and I've also seen them on their website. First off, what's the website?
The website is www, obviously, .reelfoot.org, REELFOOT.org.
So who oversees Reelfoot Rural Ministries besides yourself?
We have a board of trustees that meet on a quarterly basis, and then an executive committee of that board that meets on a monthly basis. And then we have some staffing that, along with myself. We've got our finance director, Donna Chisholm. We've got our services coordinator, and that's Laura Hunt. And then we've got our projects and property coordinator, and that's Mark Bessent.
Mm-hmm.
And then our senior services and dental coordinator, that's Brandy Rudd. And then over at our thrift store, that's run by Lindsay Burpo. And then the rest is got some new employees there that have just started recently to kind of help in some of that support ministry and volunteers.
Is there a time that you need volunteers more so than not, like Christmas, for example?
Honestly, Christmas is probably our most populated time for volunteers. That's when, if you don't know anything about Reelfoot Rural Ministries, but one thing, you know about the Christmas toy store, and that's when everybody that wants to volunteer tends to think, hey, I need to go up and volunteer, and we love it. But we don't need all the volunteers in that 2 weeks of December. Volunteers throughout the year are much more helpful. We could definitely use those volunteers for a number of things in our food building or over in our thrift store. You can just call or email us, and the phone number and the email addresses are all on that website. And we can arrange a time for you or your small group to come and to help us. We've got church groups and civic groups that'll come and volunteer once or twice a year, and we got some that are committed to one day a month, and they come on the same rotating day each month. It's really nice to have that volunteer base to count on when you're such a small staff that serves so many folks, over 3,500 households annually.
There are some people that are very humble and they don't want to ask for help. And sometimes you just have to.
Sure.
And with that becomes probably the first step of helping people that need real help. Because most of us, and I think we all agree with this, that, we don't want to go and lose that. I don't know what you want to call it, but it hurts to know that you've got to go somewhere to get help,
Sure.
But you do something special for those people. You love them. You show them that it's okay.
Well, our intention, our purpose statement is building relationships, or is in building relationships. And our vision statement is to restore hope, one relationship at a time. And in doing that, it's much like what you and I were talking about before the program started. And it's just talking to people, hearing their stories, knowing where they come from, and what drives them, what brings them joy, and what brings them a struggle, and then becoming a part of that relationship, you learn how you might be able to encourage them or offer them a helping hand.
You have a lot of programs that you're using right now. Quite honestly, it's a terrific facility. I've been through it. I now have better understanding. And if you have ever gone to Reelfoot Rural Ministries, you have a complete understanding of what this organization has been doing. And it's a helping hand ministry, but it also has some guidelines, and it also has some times when you have to say no.
Sure.
And that's one of those things you have to recognize, that there's some people that they really don't need it, but they want to have some of it. I don't want to be too steppy on the toes here, but that happens.
We want to serve folks however they need to be served, but we want to do it in a way that builds their integrity, their ability for self-care, to the extent we've just recently taken a step out that we haven't done that I'm aware of, short of personal relationships with staff, but we've got an actual case manager that's now working with us part-time for some referrals for those clients where we see there's some real potential for them to make that change, just to kind of break that cycle for whatever reason, health or family issues or whatever might just keep feeling like it's putting them at a disadvantage. If we can find some way to offer them resources and encouragement through relationship building with a professional case manager, we're going to walk with some families to help change that for them. And so that's an exciting area of focus that we've started in this fiscal year, and look forward to seeing how we can make deeper and more lasting change in some lives.
Some people are very humble, a great deal of pride, embarrassment. They don't want to have to deal with those kinds of things. And at some point, you have to go downstairs and say, okay, I need it. Sure. I gotta go to the altar now. And that part of food is the most important part, I suspect.
It's the addressing the hierarchy of needs. You can't get at the core of things that might be a deeper problem or issue if the most basic of needs aren't met. So if you begin with the simple things of food or whatever that minor need is that they might have, and that allows that door to be open, that relationship to start, so that some real grace can come into that relationship. You can talk to our staff and to our volunteers about this. I think they'd all say this to you because I'm pretty sure they've all said it to me. It's you think you're helping somebody else out, but it really becomes a blessing to you as much, if not more so, than the blessing that you're trying to offer to those folks who might have a moment of need. It's the way the Spirit of God works in those relationships is a powerful thing.
Do you pray with some of your clients?
It's not something we require of them, but it's definitely something we're willing to do if the client has that need.
When you say, brother, can we have a word of prayer?
They definitely know that we're a Christian-based organization, but there's not an expectation for them to go to any church that we would recommend or to participate in any kind of service. But we're definitely there to offer. We're offering the love of Christ to them in the way that we interact with them, talk with them, and just love them. But if they want that in a deeper, more meaningful way of relationship with Christ or personal prayer, just words of encouragement, we're there to do that.
If you've just joined us in our program today, we have a very, very nice gentleman. His name is Robert Craig, and we're talking about the Reelfoot Rural Ministry. That is, what are the hours that you have?
The service hours for the grocery ministry are on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and that's 8:30 to 3:30. The offices are open on Tuesday through Friday from 8 to 4. Those same hours for the thrift store. The thrift store is only open for sales on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 8 to 4, but their donations can come in on Tuesdays as well. We're there over the weekends some for those volunteer teams that come and help us do those home repairs and home modifications I talked about earlier. But typically those are the main business hours for the staff, Tuesday through Friday.
You're in a point right now as we get into the months of the holidays. You want people to help you with toys? Do you want them to help you with money or other things?
All donations are welcome for sure. And what I share with church groups and civic groups that ask me about this for the toy store, would you rather have new toys or would you rather have money for you to buy the toys? And my response to them on a very regular basis is, we don't want to take away whatever kind of ministry that youth group or that Sunday school class or that civic organization that what relationship ministry they might be building by going to shop together and bring those toys to us, please do that. But if it's a burden to go out trying to shop and decide what you think these parents might like for picking up, when they come shopping for their children later in December, then send us the money. We try to watch for sales throughout the year, but particularly beginning in September. And then we can also sometimes get a discount, but we can always save the sales tax. And so that helps, that helps us be able to fill the needs when we know the family sizes and the age groups after the families have registered. We can tell by those shopping times when we need certain toys in certain age groups or gender, so we can really do some focused purchasing to fill those needs.
How many people do you help during the 12 months?
Sure. Groceries, families can come once every 2 months, but about half are return, and half we might see once or twice a year. But typically, unique individual households between the grocery ministries and all the other ministries I've mentioned, the toy store and the school supplies, the home repair ministries, and the clinics. We usually average somewhere around 3,500 families a year.
That's amazing. Mm-hmm. Families.
Yes, sir. Households.
I mean, that is an incredible number. And what's the busiest time of the year? Is it Christmas or is it?
Christmas is probably the busiest time of the year, just because it's so condensed. We're cramming a lot into just a few weeks. Of course, with the Christmas holidays, the last week or 10 days of the month is pretty slow. It's pretty slowed down for us and for most other folks outside of the retail industry. But we do our toy store second week of December, after the families have registered in November. So we're really busy in that 2 weeks in December, on top of the fact that we've got local churches and individuals and groups bringing toys up, bringing food up, because everybody thinks about the holidays during Thanksgiving and Christmas for food ministries, and we really love and appreciate that. But it's a feast or famine when it comes to those donations. So we get lots and lots of donations in November and December for food and toys. Throughout the year, not so much, and so we're sometimes scrapping, trying to strategically shop for the groceries that we need to fill the food building. But that 2 or 3 weeks in November and December, that's when we're serving hundreds of families through the toy store. We're still doing our grocery ministry, and that's usually increased during the holidays. And then you've got all of the volunteers that are coming up and the donors that are coming up, bringing in food items and toys. So that's the most hectic time of the year for us, for sure, because it's so much happening in just a few weeks.
Do you refer to them as clients?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when does a family need to get on the list for Christmas?
In November. There's the dates are set and are available on our website and our Facebook page. There's 2 weeks in November where families can come to register, bring the appropriate information, documentation, and then they'll be assigned a shopping day and time that works for them in early December. And then they would come back then for that shopping experience where they would go into what our fellowship hall and our conference room, that we'd convert the building into just a giant toy store, and they'll go in with just usually 3 or 4 other families per session, and they get to go in, shop, pick out new toys for their children that they think their children would like, rather than us gathering some things together and giving it to them and saying, here, give this, Merry Christmas, give these to your kids. You get to go in and really thoughtfully shop through hundreds of items to choose for their children, because they're the ones that know their children's wants and needs best.
Have you ever run out of toys?
I don't know that we've ever run out, but we definitely get where the inventory can become pretty
soft,
pretty limited. Yes, sir. But that's where those financial donations come in really handy. We know when we can tell by the age groups and the types of items that are in there in the toy stores, and we know what we need to go and shop for, so we can make sure that the families that will be there the next day have a good assortment to choose from for their children.
You've just joined us. We're talking about Reelfoot Rural Ministries. Robert Craig is our guest. He is the director of this program. I want to take a step out. We haven't had this conversation, but I know you have. And that conversation is people who lose their home because of fire or flood, or for whatever reason. It may be that one member of the family is dead, can't come, and the rest of them get to stay. There's a lot of issues taking place.
So that's the emergency relocation services. We typically we have household items, household goods, clothing, the things that you would need if you kind of lost or had to leave everything. So in the event of a fire, a flood, tornadoes, unfortunately, and then sometimes just families have some real issues, and the domestic assault happens, and folks have to relocate for safety of themselves and their family, their children. And we try to provide what we can there to help them set up that new household. After they've secured that place to live, we'll try to help fill that place up for them so that they've got what they need to take those next steps. We're also, because of the storms that we've experienced so much recently, we've involved in actual disaster recovery, and working with families who were impacted by tornadoes and some floods, to help them along their journey of recovery, and even to the extent of repairing and building some homes as resources are available.
Did you help? When I say you, did Reelfoot Rural Ministries, did you help during the tornado down in Sandburg?
Yes, sir. That's really when Reelfoot became more heavily involved in recovery. So we were real involved there in a number of ways, and worked with clients in Obion and in Lake County, in the Sandburg area, as well as the Tiptonville area that were impacted by the tornadoes. We've repaired several homes in the area and rebuilt one.
Tell me some good stories that your agency has been able to say, I'm so proud I work here.
Right. You asked me earlier how I got to know about Reelfoot Rural Ministries, and I kind of explained that it's the connection that I have as a United Methodist. That's where I learned of the ministry back in 2004, and I got involved volunteering, and so I can remember volunteering, working alongside volunteer groups one summer as an intern up there for their work camp program or their home repair program. And a lady got indoor plumbing for the first time. This was in the early 2000s. She did have a hydrant right outside off of her back porch that had been installed some years before, but didn't have an actual running water in her sink in her kitchen, and volunteers helped make that happen. That's one that sticks in my mind just because I couldn't fathom somebody without indoor plumbing. But the life-changing kind of things that happen, you see the amazing stories of just folks who are moved to tears because they have gotten to a point where they have no hope. They've just almost lost their ability to put one foot in front of the other because it seemed like life just kept kicking them. The simple act of showing them that they are beloved, that they are of invaluable worth, not by giving them this or giving them that, by giving them your time and just really investing in them as a human being, seeing that over and over again, how that changes people's lives is amazing. But, you know, the tangible things that we all want to talk about are the material changes. You know, we've seen through our dental clinic, we've seen people's entire worlds change. Folks who were embarrassed to leave their homes, now gainfully employed, or a grandmother who's now going and volunteering at her grandkids' school, and life has just completely changed for them because that
they had some dental work.
They've got a smile again, you know, or they're not in pain. One gentleman in particular was actually the first person we ever delivered a set of dentures to. That gentleman was an addict, went through a recovery program, and is actually working for that recovery program now, some 20 some odd years later, but needed a smile. And we helped put that smile on his face because his life was smiling already.
If I don't ask this question, people are going to call or ask, do you have regular days where you feed people? Is there a cafeteria day, so to speak?
We don't do prepared meals anymore. It's just, we are so remote. It'd be tough for folks to get up there to have a meal. We have moved a satellite location because Dyer County is such a large populous area for our service area. Over 50% of our clients usually come from Dyer County. And so to try to help those folks with the drive, we have started a satellite grocery ministry in Dyersburg, along with First United Methodist Church there. We've renovated a house and turned it into a little grocery store. So that's on that service for Dyer County folks is on Wednesdays. And then, but any of the folks in our service area of Fulton County and Hitman County, Kentucky, or Dyer, Lake, and Obion County in Tennessee, they can come if they need groceries, they can come up on Tuesdays or Thursdays between the hours of 8:30 and 3:30.
Let me have the last word on this from you. What is it that we may have forgotten to talk about today?
I don't know that we've forgotten to really talk about what Reelfoot Rural Ministries does, but the thing that's always my takeaway when I think about the work of the staff and the volunteers there at Reelfoot is life change. I think that's what I'd sum it all down to. It changed me when I first met that ministry back in the early 2000s, to the extent I served on the board for a few years, and then now I've been the director there for almost 11 years. And the same happens for our staff. You know, our staff would say, in fact, I hear Donna, our finance director, say this fairly regularly, I thought I knew what faith was until I came here, because she's been there longer than I. She's been through some, you know, we have our ups and downs when it comes to our financial donations. But she said, I was taught faith just knowing that we weren't really about to meet ends meet, but somehow, some way, God always provided for the ministry that we needed to provide. And that's just what we see happen quite often.
Hope you've enjoyed our program today. It has been a very, very nice opportunity to listen to what is going on with Reelfoot Rural Ministries. And this gentleman here, Robert Craig, he's a very, very nice fella, and a great team that they have. And we're going to give you the address one time here, and here it is.
We're located physically at 6923 Minnick Elbridge Road with an Obion mailing address 38240. You can donate on our website, reelfoot.org, or you can find out more about our ministries there.
Thanks so much. Been great having you, Robert. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Paul.
That's our program today. Thank you for listening to this week's 30 Minutes program. Paul Tinkle, pre-recorded.
You've been listening to 30 Minutes, a community affairs program on Thunderbolt Radio. You can listen to this broadcast and others anytime by visiting thunderboltradio.com and following the Thunderbolt Radio and Digital YouTube page. Thanks for listening.